Well, thank you for joining me. I'm Tom Laux, Communications Director, City of Marshfield, and it's council preview time. I have Steve Barg, City Administrator, sitting next to me, and we're going to go through the council meeting that's going to happen on Tuesday, March 9th, the first of the month.
Great to be here, Tom.
Thanks for coming. Well, we have 2 pages of the agenda, and as we know, it's still being worked on. We'll do this on a Wednesday before the Tuesday council meeting, so there could be some additions as they happen.
It does happen.
But we have to do this early so we can bring the information to you guys out there in our viewing audience. Well, let's talk about staff updates, and you're going to be giving an update on possible opening of City Hall?
Yeah, absolutely. We are opening City Hall again, and Jill Porter and the folks at the library are opening that facility again. We're timing it for doing it together. Both facilities, the library and the City Hall, will reopen to the public on Monday, March 15th. We're excited about that. You know, I know some people have been getting restless because they, especially with the library, they like to be in the facility instead of, you know, getting things at the curbside. And people like to come into City Hall to do their business in person when they can. So we'll be still having the same kind of precautions. I know the library staff is looking at making sure the health and safety of all involved, staff and citizens, are protected. Same for us at City Hall. But yeah, we're opening for business on March 15th. And again, this is not to say that the pandemic is over. I'm sure you've talked about the pandemic. The mayor has been doing programs on the pandemic, and we want everybody to stay safe. But there has been a decreasing number of cases lately, which is good news. The vaccine is getting out there to more people, and it seems like a time to do this. Still, we have the mask mandate, and we have social distancing, so don't let your guard down too far. But it'll be good to have these 2 facilities open again, Tom.
All right. Well, we'll be getting information out as well from the Communications Department for the city departments. So if you're viewing this and want to know more information, just stay tuned to this channel as well as our other platforms. As I get information from you and our department heads, I'll bring it out to the public so you're aware of what's happening with our facilities. All right. Thanks for that. Let's talk about consent agenda. We had Public Works on Monday, Finance and Jail. I don't see anything here in jail, but what's going to be on the consent agenda? We talk about a Lincoln Avenue reconstruction plan.
Yeah, what I really want people to know, Thomas, is this project continues to move forward. It's the reconstruction of Lincoln Avenue from 5th Street to Adler Road. People have been talking about this for a long time. It's been on the capital improvement plan for years, I believe. But again, funding is always the option. And if you recall, in a previous program, we talked about that Dan Kinect and his staff were able to work to get a what's called an STP, Surface Transportation Program grant. And that pays for, I think, close to 2/3 of the cost, as I recall, of the project. So that's good news. That's going to move this project up and make it more palatable to get it done soon. What we're asking for right now is council approval to grant us the ability to contract for engineering services with someone to design this. And we had 3 proposals. We always look for competitive proposals for these projects. The lowest is Gremmer and Associates at $77,000. If you look there, it's quite a bit lower than the other 2 proposals. So again, we want the public to know that we're seeking competitive proposals to get the best price possible. But we're hoping to get the council's approval to move forward with the consultant selection. I know this doesn't seem as exciting as seeing the bulldozers come out and the paving crews, but it's another key step in seeing that really significant roadway, Lincoln Avenue, upgraded in that one problem area.
Now, when will this project, if this all comes to fruition, start?
I believe the project is slated for 2023. I think I'm right. I apologize if I'm wrong. I didn't talk to Dan Kinect before coming over here. But in a couple of years, you're going to see this project come to fruition, I believe.
Okay, well, we'll know more about that. We just want to let them know it's not happening this summer.
Correct. Correct. No, very, very true.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Well, let's move right down the list here and talk about soliciting bids for sanitary sewer projects for 2021.
Yeah, we're talking about construction. It's kind of exciting because it's still like 30 degrees when I came over here today, which feels nice compared to 20 below, but which we had a couple of weeks ago. But one of the things we like to do is make sure that we're doing our sanitary sewer work to keep that system up. Again, who sees it, right? It's not like the streets where you say, please redo my street, but we have to keep the mains and the system going well. So we have 4 projects you're looking at there on your list. I'll read them off if that's okay. Blodgett Street from St. Joseph to Wood Avenue, Cedar Avenue from 6th to 8th Street, East 8th from Maple, east and west on Maple, and then Lincoln Avenue from Blodgett to Briarwood. And these are projects that we want to see to keep the system up going well. We know that Sam Warp and his crew have been doing an outstanding job of running the wastewater treatment plant and working with our public works crew on these projects. So you see, it's a fully outlined schedule. It's very detailed. How we get approval from the Board of Public Works. We go out and solicit bids. You know, we take the most responsible low bidder and go through the whole process of pre-construction meetings to an end. And the goal is to start construction of these projects in about 2 months, on the 10th of May, if all goes well. So looking for another good year of keeping up our sanitary sewer system, Tom.
It's important. You don't want to ignore that. As like you said earlier, you don't see it, but we sure use it.
Yeah, a lot of our infrastructure, like with most communities, was built many years ago. We talk a lot about the streets having been built during the 70s and 80s in large part when Marilyn Hardiker was the mayor. Well, you know, a lot of our sewer and water mains, you know, get older and they need replacement and maintenance. And so this is very important.
Yeah, maybe someday we can find out what's the oldest pipe they've dug up.
Oh, wow. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I've seen cities have clay pipes from way back when, and amazing that they've lasted 80 plus years.
Yeah.
So maybe someday we'll talk to Sam about that.
That'd be great.
And get a picture of one of those pipes. All right, let's move on here. Thanks for that. And let's talk about offers for acquisition of properties adjacent to Weber Park.
Well, yeah, the street is, I'm sorry, the city is very proud of its trail system. One of the things that makes a community special is the hiking and biking trails that people enjoy during the warmer months. And you know, I know we're talking winter here yet, but it is going to get warmer. Well, one of the things that has been sought out for a while is hoping to get a couple parcels of land over on the south side of Holly Avenue, abutting Weber Park, to continue to extend our trail system to make it the best possible system for our users. And we now have the opportunity, in working with some people who are donating money, the Friends of the Trails, and a little bit of room tax money, the money we get from people who stay at our lodging facilities, to acquire 2 parcels that are significant for continuing to extend that trail system. And I want to stress to people might be thinking, wait, these are hard times. You increased our taxes last year, you know? How can you be talking about buying land for new trail connections? Again, 90% of the money is coming from donations, and the other almost 10% is coming from room tax revenues, which I realize we could use for other projects, but it's intended for things like parks and trails and the zoo. So it's a win-win, I think. The Board of Public Works was supportive. If we can get those 2 parcels, it will help us to continue to extend that trail system as we go along.
Well, trails are important. It's one of the pieces that I know our millennial individuals really enjoy doing. You see it across cities across the United States, the increase in use of trails. And I see that's why you guys want to use this and continue the process of that trail.
And you're right. And one of the things you do in government, and I know people might scratch their head at this, you try to get parcels of land for important improvements when you can. You think back to the library. Some of the parcels were acquired for the new library years before, but you know, somebody was selling and you had the opportunity to acquire, and you do that when you can. And this seems like a really good time to be able to acquire these parcels for the betterment of trails. Alrighty.
Well, we'll keep our public informed on what happens with that, and if that goes to, if it happens, I should say, we can update on the process of that moving forward. Yep. All right, let's talk about another resolution approval. We call it a fee schedule. That is a schedule that's used across all our departments for services.
Yeah, every fall we have our Development Services Department pulls together, and they work with the other departments that have fees to update it. So typically we bring forward a resolution, Josh Miller does, in November, to amend our schedule and keep it up to date. Now the reason we did this in the first place is so the public and contractors and all those folks, Tom, could look at this schedule online and one-stop shopping. And that's what you and David are all about, trying to make it easier, more user-friendly for our public and the stakeholders. So this is not a big thing. You see a handful of things that are being amended or added for new fees. Otherwise, if he hadn't done them now, we would have to wait until next fall. And so it was thought that maybe these would be good to get in the system here before we get into summer. But my main takeaway from this, I want to be that you can look online, you can actually connect to our fee schedule, you can find out what it costs to get a building permit, or all these other things that you might want to do from Development Services or the Clerk's Office or Public Works. And we hope that you find it user-friendly. If you have ideas for making it better, please let us know.
Yeah, and it was noted last night in the finance meeting that these fees really haven't changed in quite some time either. Some of the fees, maybe not these, but in general, it's pretty even. but I know Alderman Witzel mentioned that we'd like to keep that to a point that isn't too high either, and that it's updated every year, and which it is. So
agreed. And I want to commend Josh Miller, our Development Services Director, for his work on this. Jason Angel, the former director, got it going. Josh has done a good job of kind of improving it. Natalie, who works in the department, does an outstanding job of working with them on getting this together. So we just want to keep it updated and keep it current and out there for the public to use.
Alrighty, well, when we get a new fee schedule and it's adopted here by the council, we'll have it on the city website. We'll put it on the front page, easy for people to find. Again, it is on other department pages that actually use a fee, which would be like city clerk, Public Works, you name it. So just to give you that little tip, let's move on down the piece here. We got another one under consent agenda. You got a ton here, Steve.
We do. We do.
All right. Well, this is about a lease that actually we're involved with for the communications department at City Hall.
Yeah, and I'm going to interview you, if you don't mind, Tom, on this one, because I know you and David, like I've said before, have done an outstanding job, but you've had some, constraints given the space and, the fact that it's not designed quite the way you'd like it to make it the most efficient and effective place for the two of you to operate the communications department from. So, we're here in the former City Hall. People remember the old 7-story building. It's now owned and, leased out by other people who bought it from the city. But there's an opportunity for you to get into a space that might be better and more usable on the 5th floor. And I'd like you maybe just to talk a little bit about why you were looking maybe for more space or better space, and then what the 5th floor space will do for you.
Yeah, I'll bring it up because, it has a lot to do with public, because we do operate the public access stations here, 989, 990 and its platforms, and we want to provide the best for those producers, our residents that get to watch programs, and space is needed to do that. So I'll just take a quick history back to this 2019. We took this over here really in about April. Came in from our former MCTV name that we had this under, and we were looking for space, and we were out of a lease out of the north end, if anyone remembers that, and we looked at possible places to see how it would go, and really a way to save money for the city, because we're operating on franchise fees, which are fees from cable services for video services by viewers like such as you guys that may be on cable television. So we thank you for that. So anyway, we decided to come here, and that worked out for now. But with the pandemic, David and myself work over here, and we have a lot of gear, and that came from the north end, and really more than we ever thought. And we need space to use it appropriately, take care of it, make sure that it's maintained. Can't afford new stuff all the time. Our space is just limited, and we want to be able to provide a safe working environment for both us and our patrons that come in. So we have an option to go to 5th floor, gain 500 square feet. Cost us very little, $325 extra a month. Really only $125 because we already budgeted more. So the cost is very minimal from what we're going to get, and I think the public will find a great asset because we'll have a better studio space than we're using here, a room. We'll have our lighting a little bit more dialed in than we have today, and people will be able to come up there and use the facility a lot easier for their own productions, which we have been gaining new producers, which is what it's all about. Great. So yeah, it's a win-win. It's a good way for the next 3 years. Our lease did go through 2024 anyway. Yep. Excuse me. So we wanted to just amend that, and then see where we're going to go in the future, and see how things happen with franchise fees and how we collect what we collect on that, which operates both our communications department for city departments as well as the public access platforms that are all your church programs on, and items that are producers that go out and cover concerts and you name it to bring to the viewers. So. It'll be an exciting time. We want to have a nice place to work in and provide that for people. So we have that option.
I know one of the concerns that was raised by one of the committee members when the agenda came out is, well, wait a minute, we have to knock down walls, we have to do all this renovation. And the beauty of this is it really doesn't require any remodeling, really.
No, very little. And, myself, I do save the money. I'll bring it up. I pretty much do the work. I have the tools. Make sure we're following code with our building inspector, which has already been done. Make sure that's all done right. And David and I will get our muscles up and move all the stuff up, and really there's no cost except our time to do that. So we're looking forward to it. We want a place to call home. And see how that works for the next 2 to 3 years. It was mentioned community center. We have looked at that in the past. Maybe we'll really see where that has to go in the cost. I think it'd be a great area to do that, but that's 3 years out, and this is a chance to really review that process and take the necessary steps and time to do that.
Well, thanks, Tom. Before I hand it back to you, I want to do a couple of shout-outs. First of all, to you and David. The two of you do an absolutely amazing job with the limited resources, time that you have, the demands and expectations that people have on you. Things that good things that they want to get out there, and you do a wonderful job. And I also want to give a quick shout-out to David and Christy Steinley, the owners of this building. From me working with them and from hearing about you working with them, they've been helpful, and they're good people to work with. So we thank them as well.
Yeah, most definitely, and I do thank Christy and Dave for providing this opportunity. We took some time and looked at every floor and really figured out what was going to be the best solution, and they're looking out for our needs as well, and that's great. And they're doing some really neat things here. They're really adding in some new tenants, so public want to know what's going on in here. You're going to see some changes, and it's all for the good. This building is going to be populated more again.
Great. We want them to succeed. That's good for everyone.
Yep, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks, Steve, for letting me give that information. Well, I'll turn it back to myself and then have you answer some more questions. We're going to get right into the thick of it here now. We're done with consent agenda, which generally goes by fast, but you never know. It's good to bring that out. Let's talk about a presentation here. This is actually done by somebody outside the city. It's introduced by you. Try to understand, it's about stray cats.
Yep. Yeah, I think it was about a month or a month and a half ago, Tom. We have that part at the end of the council meeting, items for future agendas, and I forget which council member brought it up, but said, we have kind of a growing problem, it seems, with stray cats, feral cats, the whole cat population. So we've got, thanks to Bob Larson, he made the contact from one of our ordinance officers, a woman named Bree Richardson is going to come in. She's going to give us some information about stray cats and overpopulation of cats. I think she's going to give an idea maybe what we're facing, what we can do, and it's purely informational, but I think it'll be good. I'm looking forward to hearing it because it's not a topic we discuss a whole lot, so it'll be good to hear from Bree.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a cat lover. I like
Good
cats. Always had cats. Still have one yet. He's over 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
He was a stray, actually, back in Plover, and I took him in 2004. So he's still around.
That's great.
But yeah, I'm curious to hear more about it. I don't see any in the city, but I'm sure there are. They're out there. I do see them out in the wild because I live out of town a little bit, but that's normal. You're feral or farm cat, but yeah, you bet. All right. Well, interested to hear what there is about cat population. All right, let's move into a presentation by our GIS coordinator about our citizen request program.
Yeah, Tom, and you've been involved in this too because you've got a passion for connecting with people, getting complaints addressed, making it as easy as possible for citizens to report. And so David Bueller, our GIS coordinator, has taken on the role of updating the geo-reporting system. We had a good meeting, a Zoom meeting that I think you were part of, I was, and others were too, kind of kicking the process off, looking at having a dashboard in place that will track the complaints and track several metrics. This will be helpful to staff and our elected officials as they monitor how we're doing, trying to get the most out of the problem and trying to kind of restart it, if you will, kind of give it a new beginning. It was a good program to begin with, but you make a few improvements and then you reintroduce it, and I think you know how that goes. You get more interest, you get more excitement, more buzz about it. So he'll be walking through that, talking about what it can produce, how it can help us to receive and track complaints and be more effective in addressing them. And like I said, how people like the council themselves can monitor how we're doing.
Yeah, it's important for the public to have a tool other than the telephone.
Really, in this day and age?
Yes. To call, track those requests, make sure that they're getting done. Make sure that the public is aware they're getting done. I think that's really so important that you say one thing and how do you know if it really got done? Follow-up is key for the public to know because they're a part of this. So let's, we'll find out more about it. Come on Tuesday from more of an informational presentation. Yeah, that's what it is. So there's no action.
Right.
From our senior GIS coordinator.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about something from Josh Miller, our Development Services. He's going to give an economic development report from 2020.
You may want to take it out of your packet there
Yeah,
and hold it up for a minute. It's 40 pages, and he's not going to read 40 pages, but every year, Josh Miller, working with our other partners, of course, we work with Mackey and Main Street and others on economic development. It's a good team, but produces a report. It's good to look back. What did we accomplish in 2020? What are the challenges going forward? You know, how are we doing? You see a page right away that talks about business assistance during the COVID-19 pandemic. Who would have dreamed that we were going to face a pandemic when we kicked off 2020? Got a lot of graphs, a lot of charts. How are we doing? Residential, commercial, industrial. Are we growing? Are we shrinking? You know, how's the assessed value of property in the city? That's important to us for tax purposes. What about jobs? What about the workforce? So he goes through all that, and again, I'm just going to give another shout out to Josh. He does a wonderful job, an outstanding job as our Development Services Director. So he's going to highlight where we are, you know, where we're going, and take questions from the council. But it is good to take a look back and see what's been accomplished and what still needs to be addressed.
All right. Just looking at this real quickly here, Steve, I noticed that we work with Karen Olson on this as well. Will she be hopefully present? Or?
She will be as well. And some people don't understand Karen's role, and I get that. Karen is actually housed over at the Mackey office, Marshfield Area Chamber of Commerce and Industry, but we have a connection with her. She works very closely with Josh Miller and the Economic Development Board. A key first point of contact many times in terms of a company looking to locate here or to expand here. And Karen's just excellent at what she does. She's been here since I got here and really does a great job of promoting business.
All right. Well, like you say, there's 40 pages. I could sit here and read this till 2 o'clock, and then that would be quite boring.
We're out of time.
We're out of time, but we'll take a look at this. Josh will highlight this piece here that you guys can see.
Correct.
On Tuesday. It'll be on the city website. I would think it's going to be in the packet on Friday as well. And
I would think so, yeah.
We can check that out. So, if not, call Development Services, 486-2016, if you have any questions, and Natalie will be able to answer those for you. All right, let's move on to transferring some funds, which was brought up in our finance meeting last night. Not a lot of money, but what's that about?
Well, this is kind of the closeout, if you will, of what was called the Marshfield Residential Incentive Program. Now, what this was, Tom, this predates you. The EDB was trying to jumpstart more housing of one-family and two-family homes, and they came up with this idea, wait a minute, what if we provided an actual incentive that if a project was coming forward and they were thinking about building, we could incentivize them to say, look, based upon the value of the home you're constructing, we'll be able to provide an actual cash payment to you for a little bit of, just a little jump start to try and encourage you to do the project. Maybe you're not sure if you're going to build the duplex. You're not sure if you're going to build the house. This was an incentive, and you see some of the details in that memo. And we did a lot of good things. It's believed that as part of the program, we created $11 million of new value. A lot of people took advantage of it. We've stopped the program now, so it's no longer active. And what Josh is saying is there's somebody who came forward a couple of years ago, got going on a project. There was questions about when he submitted the application. Was it approved on time? Did it meet all the requirements? And I think we've concluded now that he does deserve that individual to be paid for that, but the program's closed. So what he's asking for is permission to take money from the Economic Development Fund and transfer it over to this particular project fund to be able to make payment to the person who constructed those buildings, and it's Midwestern Construction. So anyway, it's good for us that those projects were completed. It's good that the new tax base and the new homes were built. We need more new homes. We need opportunities for people to have good housing in our community. But this all it really did was housekeeping. It allowed us to wrap up the payment for projects that have happened. From going forward, the program's not existing. We think we made an impact, but we're not giving that incentive at this time.
Okay, so that program was called an MRI program. You mentioned what the name was?
Yeah, Marshfield Residential Incentive Program.
Okay.
And again, it was designed to incentivize one and two family homes.
All right, and like you say, those homes have now been built.
They have.
And maybe this payment it seems like this payment wasn't received. So
it's closed out.
It's closed out. This incentive is now closed. Maybe down the road there'll be some other kind of incentives. I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, and one of the things with the annual report that Josh will be talking about is where are we at with residential? Do we need to continue to incentivize residential growth, or have we seen enough happening
organically
without city assistance.
Yeah, there's still land available here in the city.
Yep.
Generally, the city makes sure that they do have land for construction, newer construction projects or apartments, you name it. So that's what we'll learn in there. It kind of ties in a little bit to that. Anything else, Steve?
The last item down at the bottom there, I think we could touch on real briefly. A couple of items that kind of tie together. And again, I think we talked at the last meeting about how there's going to be a hearing about the mayor under Chapter 17 of state statute. A complaint was brought forward. That hearing has now been scheduled for 2 dates this month. Friday, Friday, March 19th, and Monday, March 22nd, both days at 6 o'clock. So they're breaking it into 2 parts because there'll be witnesses and some things that take some time to present and cross-examine, if you will. It's not a trial, but it's kind of quasi-formal. And so if you look at the agenda, the things we're anticipating is we've got to get a stenographer. Well, we've got to pay for that stenographer, and how's that going to work? And also, Attorney James Kelney, who will be leading the process for us, wants approval by the full council, and he'd like it at this meeting, of some of the process and procedures. So, when you go to a football game, what are the rules? You get 4 downs, 10 yards. He wants it understood. What are the procedures we're going to be using? You've all signed off on it. This is how we're going to conduct the hearing. So there's no misunderstanding about that night when it comes on the 19th, how we're going to proceed. But it's open to the public, the hearing, both nights, and it's, I guess, determining whether or not some charges that have been, or concerns that have been raised about the mayor rise to the level where they had to look at possibly removing him from office, and that's what the council will have to hear the evidence. They'll hear witnesses and cross-examination on Bob's behalf, and then they'll decide what to do after that.
All right. These 2 items, Q and R, as of right now, could change because of the agenda changes. That's all I mean. Change is the placement of it.
They could even be added to if you think of other things that need to be approved prior to the hearing.
Exactly. So. But this is all, again, an open session, this piece you were just talking about. Correct. To figure out of a stenographer. And some people may not know what a stenographer is. I think it's somebody that records all the talk.
Yeah, right? I'm used to calling it a court reporter, but this is not a court. So it's not that. That is an old term, but it's somebody who actually takes down verbatim everything said at the meeting.
Yeah, so it's a record of it is what it is. So all right, well, thank you so much, Steve. Again, this Common Council meeting, first of the month of March. That is our normal meeting, I shall say. March 9th, 6 p.m. Council chambers open to the public.
Yeah.
Just again, need to, you'd like a call if they're coming as of right now yet?
Yeah, we're still planning for social distancing. If we had an indication that there was going to be an exorbitant number of people, we would maybe set up the conference room for overflow and those types of things. So we do appreciate hearing from the citizens if they're planning to attend. Can I just say one more thing before we wrap up? We talk about the police chief situation and the mayor, and I know some people in the community are kind of wondering, where are things going at City Hall? I just want you to know that the services provided, the people providing them, the mayor and the council, the department heads, everybody is still doing their jobs. We're going to continue to provide the quality services people depend upon. That's not in question. I want you to know that the city's business continues as normal.
Yes, that's good to note. As you know, you're working a lot more hours to cover a lot of these things. I think everyone is during these times, but that's part of what we have to do to make sure those services are happening. We can't let our guard down on the services they need.
We can't. We can't. And at the same time, we're providing these hearings respectful. We want to be fair to all parties involved and just try to do everything right. That's our goal. All
righty. Well, thank you, Steve, as usual, as always, and usual. Thank you for coming, sharing that information for the public, our councilmen that may watch this, really anybody, our staff, about the upcoming meeting. It gives a little insight. Again, they can watch it before the meeting on our cable channels at any time, 991, and then it's on our YouTube channel, which you can get to our website, ci.marshfield.wi.us. That's a long URL.
It is. It's a long one. Yeah.
But I'll sign off, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks for our second Common Council meeting. Maybe it'll be 50 degrees by then. We'll report that if it is.
I hope so. I'm a big fan of spring, and I'm getting excited for it already.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching our Council Preview program. I'm Tom Laux, Communications Director, City of Marshfield.